of southern Florida's picturesque palm trees takes us back to an eventful day in the year of 1878, when the Spanish brig Providencia, carrying a cargo of 20,000 coconuts, was washed ashore in a storm. The few inhabitants who then resided in this section salvaged the cargo, which they planted, and thereby transformed the barren sand keys into scenes of tropical grandeur, such as we now behold. In the shade of these sheltering palms, the tired businessman or the vacationist may still find comfort and respite from the cares of a troubled world. During the winter season, which usually lasts from early December to late April, the palatial hotels of southern Florida are open to the public, and their social registers include visitors from all parts of the globe. Among the more popular resorts is Miami, with its palm-fringed shore, providing a delightful rendezvous for those who would spend their winter days in the lazy path of a subtropical sun. Along the beaches, one may find swanky clubs where the cares of the day may be charmed away with good food and drink and convivial company. And for those who are not interested in what the wild waves are saying, there is the private swimming pool, where attractive debutantes parade in colorful bathing suits. Vying in popularity with Florida's aquatic sports is that of horse racing, as seen at the famous Hialeah track, supporting a grandstand large enough to accommodate more than 10,000 spectators. In the southern interior of the Florida Peninsula are the Everglades, America's largest swamp, where the Seminole Indians once found sanctuary from the invading white men. No river in the world has achieved greater fame than Florida's modest little Swanee River, which has been immortalized by a song.
Way down upon the Swanee River, far, far away, there's where my heart am turning ever, there's where the old folks stay. All this while I'm sad and dreary, everywhere I roam. Oh, dark is how my heart grows weary, far from the old folks at home.
One of man's most poetic thoughts in architecture is the Bach Singing Tower, located almost in the heart of Florida and built as a sanctuary for birds. About 12 miles from the Bach Tower, one may visit the beautiful Cypress Gardens, noted for their effulgent blooms of colorful flowers. Electric boats silently cruise the garden waterways, where still waters reflect the brilliance of the azaleas, while glorious flame vine pours its spectacular color over the tops of the tallest pines. According to historians, about 4 centuries ago, the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto was the first white man to gaze upon this ancient Indian shrine, known today as Silver Springs, one of the most interesting of Florida's natural phenomena, where the crystal clear water affords a delightful medium for aquatic photography. And here we meet Miss Allen and her brother Ross, who will give us a demonstration of how they catch turtles and alligators. In his time, Ross Allen claims he has captured some 36,000 alligators, ranging in weight up to 400 pounds. But this particular one seems to have become a pet, as he no longer takes his master's wrestling antics very seriously. So much for play acting with a pet alligator. Now we'll see something that's not so simple. Look out! Ross Allen is director of the Silver Springs, Florida Reptile Institute, and one of his chief sources of income is the venom extracted from the fangs of diamond-back rattlesnakes, which are milked of their venom once a week. The sale of it is largely to medical institutions, which use it in the preparation of anti-venom and as a substitute for morphine. For centuries, Silver Springs has been a favorite spot of the Seminole Indians, and in winter, several of them come from the Everglades to this village near the springs. A woman's hair is never covered, but a large rat after the mode of the early 1900s is used to bolster her pompadour. In 1835, the United States government decided to move the Seminole Indians to a western reservation, but they would not go. A 7 years war followed, and as a result, all but 150 Indians were sent west. From those who remained are descended the present Seminoles in Florida, numbering about 500. A Seminole girl is given a string of colored glass beads when she reaches the age of puberty, and on subsequent birthdays, strings are added for acts of virtue or as gifts in times of financial prosperity. What was once the private swimming pool of Seminole maidens is now a popular rendezvous for 20th century bathing beauties. At Silver Springs, as nowhere else in the world, will be found an underwater movies club, most of the members of which have grown up around the springs and have literally lived in its refreshing waters. Some of these underwater actors can refrain from breathing more than 2 minutes for the photographing of a single underwater scene. And their floating audiences may view them through the windows of unique boats, like this one. And with this unusual scene, we conclude our glimpses of Florida.